We've been talking to some of our leaders about the cities here in Oakland County. And from one of the largest cities in the state of Michigan, we're now going to head up 75 to one of the smallest, if not the smallest, the village of Clarkston. Excited to bring in Eric Haven, the mayor of Clarkston. Great to have you with us. How are you?
Thank you so much, Ronnie. It's a pleasure being with you this morning.
How lucky do you feel to be able to live in such a gem of a city?
Wow, I'm glad you recognize that. My wife and I have been here almost 50 years in this town. We've lived in 3 homes. We've raised our kids and our grandkids here, and are really looking forward to the future of Clarkston. Really, it is a unique town that is unique in respect to its certainly many respects, but size. It is, in fact, the smallest city in Clarkston, and I'm hoping you're seeing me all right because I'm on my phone and I'm having some calls interfering. But did the video break up at that point?
It did. Your name came up, but I'm sure maybe you were getting a message or something.
Well, I'm trying to. I'll be quicker to decline these things if they happen again. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. We understand. We're all learning new technology.
Exactly. I got my iPhone propped in an awkward way here, but it's okay. It's working, so we don't care. Yeah. But anyway, just Clarkston's a unique place, and my wife and I have been thrilled to live here over the years, and it's iconic, really. Frankly, I kind of call it the Camelot, of Southeast Michigan, where nothing goes wrong here. It's a great place to live.
So I will ask Mr. Mayor, because I think I was really surprised that you were just named a city in 1992. I thought that the village has been around so much longer.
Yes, no. Well, the village has. The village was established. A guy by the name of Butler Holcomb hacked his way through the jungle from Detroit looking for some high ground that water would flow over. Back in 1832, it was established. He built the first dam here. Many of the cities in our area are what's called mill villages. And the reason they have that designation is because of their origin in capturing water power. When water flows from a high level to a low level, you can put a wheel in place and you can use that energy to generate power for various things. And obviously, the first thing you got to do is build buildings in a city. And so they did that. Butler Holcomb built a logging mill here. And many of the homes that are still in Clarkston, have been built from that logging mill. So those early Greek revival homes, had that very unique origin. But we're not unique in that respect. Like Orion and Birmingham and Rochester, a lot of these towns around us were mill villages originally.
So much history, but with that, I know that for some of us that don't live in Clarkston, it's your downtown area that's such a destination because you have some fabulous restaurants there in such a small area too. How does that work for you and the budget in the middle of a pandemic?
Well, it was interesting. We experienced something I think many towns experienced. I was up at Mackinac Island a couple weeks ago and saw a painting of what Main Street looked like on Mackinac Island during COVID-19. It was almost like one of those pictures from the Western movies where you have tumbleweed, blowing down the street. It was a very vacant feeling, a very unsettling feeling. I know Kirk Catello from the wood shop. He put a sign in the window that he had as many as 700 employees that were, not being employed like they were certainly before. And he's done a great job, and he and others have done a great job here to bolster up. But it was a tough time. There's no question about it. And we're so glad that we see the business returning. And Clarkston, if you've not been here in the last few weeks, it seems to be booming again, and we're really hopeful for the future.
So with that, too, how is your budget? Because you are such a small community. Did the pandemic hit your bottom line harder than some of the larger cities?
It's interesting. State revenue sharing in Michigan overall is the last in the nation. And so all of the municipalities have to suffer from that. But in terms of our people, we've had a stable budget over the years. So it's about an $800,000 budget. And we've had our challenges for sure. And where we've had a higher fund balance, which is sort of that budgetary margin you keep as a budget, has had to be reduced. We've done that just to be good stewards, of the monies we do have. But nevertheless, we have a balanced budget just approved last meeting, as a matter of fact, by our city council. And we're looking forward to now the upturn. We've been through downturns before, but we're looking forward to the upturn and increased revenue because as you also know, on the other side of this coin, interestingly, in our economy, the housing prices and so on have gone up. We're selling, and I know this is true in other places as well, but in Clarkston, houses are going above list. And as a result, then taxes are adjusted accordingly. And so there's some incremental increase in taxation, but there's other revenue streams that we're looking at as well to bolster that economy. One of them that's been very helpful to us in the past, and we really put it in mothballs during COVID, was paid parking in our town. We had very minimal paid parking there before at the intersection of Washington and Main at just $1 an hour. But that raised us almost $100,000 a year, for doing infrastructure work in a town. I said we're the smallest city in Michigan. We're 1/2 square mile in geographic size. We have 900 people and 400 homes here. So we are a microcosm, especially compared to the Pontiac and Southfield, people you had interviewed earlier. We're very unique, but I think that uniqueness is really our distinction, one of our distinctions that is a pleasant one in that respect.
And we have found throughout the pandemic, more and more people are attracted to the smaller communities and the walkable community. And so do you anticipate that you're going to have more interest and maybe businesses wanting to come there or even more families wanting to move there?
I think so. Interest is certainly, we're limited. We're virtually built out. But there are a couple of opportunities on a couple of pieces of property locally where we could do some expansion of perhaps some multiples and so on for people. We're interested in people here aging in place because our community is primarily a bedroom community. We're a small residential community, about 50% residential. We're about 30% water uniquely, which is really interesting. We're one of the Clinton River watershed's water towns. Which makes our Central Park, I say New York has nothing on us. We have a Central Park too, and that's our Depot Park. But the interest is here, and we're also looking at some connection with Independence Township, which is our surrounding township, to make us part of a bike path system. As you probably know, the Iron Bell Trail runs near here. That runs all the way from Iron Mountain down to Belle Isle. And so I think we're going to see a whole lot of infrastructure and also mobility changes in the future. And Clarkston wants to be very much part of all that.
So if I could ask you, Mayor, again, we're talking with Eric Haven. He's the mayor for the city of the Village of Clarkston. How important has collaboration been during the pandemic, but also outside of the pandemic because you are a smaller community?
Collaboration in what respect?
With other, like you mentioned, Independence Township or Oakland County as well. I know county officials have really tried to help a lot of the restaurants throughout the pandemic.
Yes, good point. Both from the standpoint of Independence Township and the county, we've had a really good rapport. I mean, obviously, they, like everyone else, every other institution, has had limited resources, but they've been willing to share them. And that's been a benefit to our restaurants and other businesses in town. I've been involved with both Pat Kittle at the Independence Township, as well as county officials in terms of garnering some of these resources for subsidies for our restaurants and other businesses here. So, no, it's been very helpful. I mean, it's been a team approach for sure. Had to be in this country. We had to come together, had to pull together. And so we are blessed, I think, in that respect, that we've had good rapport and good communication with other civic leaders.
So if I can ask you, any positives that came out of the pandemic?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I noted this early on, back in March of 20 or so, when we were just beginning to understand what in the world we were in the midst of. We saw people respond in very interesting ways. For example, I think parents were concerned about their young children and the effect on their kids. And the school being tenuous at the beginning and almost non-existent. Then later on, as far as going in and seeing their friends and so on, people did some things, simple things like you'd never think, but they put teddy bears in their windows. So that the kids, they could walk their kids around town, and they could see a little glimmer of hope in a child's eye, in terms of that kind of thing. There was a move afoot to do more with our flags. We started early on putting flags up. Now, the Optimist Club has been tremendous in cooperation with us. It's one of our really organizations that's very supportive of the city and the children in the city in particular. Their fundraising projects are for the children. But they've got a flag program, which is, I think it's $40 a flag per year, but they put up flags at 7 different flag holidays during that period of time. And it makes the town just pop because we are such a historic town anyway. But to see Main Street and the side streets just aligned with American flags is a real emotional boost and a really privileged part of the fun of living here, that environmental piece. So we've seen people show up. We learned some things relative to our park. We had to close it for a while, but people came and said, "Look, let's clean your equipment," and they used solvents and so on, to clean our equipment and so on. So we saw this kind of responsiveness, from our people, from our businesses. When you take out business, of course, that was true everywhere. But you could walk in and take out from the restaurants and so on. So it was a great community. And that's where you learn about your community. You learn who your people are when you watch their responsiveness to a crisis like we had.
Yeah, there's nothing, it always is. A crisis tends to bring us all together. And Mayor, I'm going to put you on a spot here for just a second. You have so many fabulous restaurants in such a small area. Which one is your favorite?
Oh, I can't do that. I can't do that. I frequent them all. But the Wood Shop is the classic old Clarkston Cafe. Owned and managed by Kurt Catello and Eric Lines. They do a great job there. The Union down the street from them at the south end of town, and south end's not very far. It's just a few steps from the center of town. But Honcho's in between. That's on the east side of Main Street, and then on the other side we have the Fed, which was a reconstructed, that's probably the wrong word, probably just a better utilized bank building, our state bank building, which they removed all the interior, and so you can see all the stonework and the vault in there. It's a fun place to eat. Next door to them, of course, is the iconic Rudy's Market. If you've never been to Rudy's, you've got to go there. But they have purchased recently the newspaper building, which sits alongside them, a beautiful architectural piece, and they're looking to expand into that facility. Then across the street again on the east side is our classic breakfast and lunch place, which is the Old Village Cafe. So if you're not familiar with Clarkston, it really sounds like you are, but if for anyone who isn't familiar with Clarkston, this is the place to come and frequent. And I just wanted to mention, if I might, too, there's an excellent opportunity to do that. On the July 21st, we have our garden walk here in Clarkston. And so there'll be 6 distinctive gardens displayed by our garden club. And the restaurants are offering special deals for lunch and dinner and so on. The tickets are only $15. They're available at the library and the Bourdines and Gateway, the Gateway, the business establishment at the north end of town. So it's a great, on a Wednesday from 11 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock at night. It's a great place to come and just a great time to come and just visit Clarkston. You got to get a feel for this very, you mentioned it, pedestrian, community, walkable community.
Very much so. I will say for me, it's always, you go to the wood shop for the mac and cheese.
Yeah.
But the Fed, it's like you said, what they've done with the building there is fabulous, but their food is incredible as well. So many great restaurants right there. So you guys are lucky to have it in your backyard.
We are. We really are. We're, like I say, we're 50% residential, but I think we're only like 6% commercial. But that 6%, it pops. It really does. And we're a destination for people who love restaurants. And of course, we've got restaurants on the outside of the village as well, which are Cruz and Muir's out on Dixie Highway, out back just to our south and so on. And so there's a whole lot of things to enjoy and food to enjoy here in Clarkston.
Well, we hope the summer is back. Like they said, bring the fun back in 21, and it seems like we are there. So, Mayor, we so appreciate your time.
Excellent. Thanks for including me and having me on the program. I appreciate it.